everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the I Don't Give a Care podcast. If you're new here, thank you so much for following along and joining us this week. And this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything. It's about being your authentic self and truly just not giving a shit about what anybody thinks anymore. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast so far, I would really appreciate if you've followed me, subscribed, left a like, a comment, a review even. If you'd like to, that would mean the world to me, and it goes a long way just getting that support. Yeah, just getting it out there. Anyways, thank you again for joining me for another episode, and let's get into it. So, I actually had a few different topics I wanted to talk about this week, and the one that I've decided to talk about was actually very last minute. So when you're listening to this, you'll realize that I'm posting this really late, and it's because I decided to change my topic last minute. And the topic I decided to talk about is something that I've been feeling called to talk about recently, just because I've been feeling this way for the past few months recently, and especially the last few weeks. So that's why I feel really called to talk about it. And it's about feeling behind in life. If you feel behind in life, then this is definitely for you. And I think a lot of us feel behind in our lives at many different points in our life. I've felt this way many times throughout my life. It definitely goes through waves, but more so the past few months, because I've had a lot of changes. More than ever, I've been questioning if I'm on the right path and just going down the right direction for my life lately. And I've noticed a pattern in my life that every time I follow the path that I think I should follow, and every path that looks good on paper, I end up feeling really stuck and claustrophobic. And then the universe, it seems, will just shake up my life and brings me right back to square one. And it has me feeling like I've gone backwards in life, like I've gone 10 steps backwards instead of feeling like I'm on the right path, even though I knew I wasn't on the right path already. So recently in the last few months, I've had a lot of changes and I had to move back home. And I am 26, so it kind of sucks, like being so independent and going off on your own and feeling like you've actually made something of yourself. And I had a full-time job with benefits. I had my own place with my sister and our dogs. And then it felt like the universe was just forcing me out of that life because it wasn't for me. It didn't feel like it was for me for a while, but it is uncomfortable feeling like you have everything going good for you and looking good on paper. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, you're back at your parents' house. You don't have that full-time job anymore. You're struggling and life just looks a lot different, especially when you're at the age of 26. I feel like at this age, we definitely feel the pressure more than ever to make something of yourself and to figure your life out. But for me, since graduating 5 years ago now from university, I have definitely felt lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do after school. I worked a lot of different jobs and went a lot of different directions, but nothing ever felt quite right. And I also just didn't know exactly how to do what I wanted to do. It also had me questioning why I even went to university in the first place. Like, why did I spend all that money and time on something where I don't even know what I want to do or have a clear direction on what I want to do with my life? Now it just feels like I'm back at square one, trying to figure out what I want to do. But here at 26, I will say I do know what I want to do with my life. It feels like I'm starting way too late to go after that. Like, there are people in the same spot as me, but at the young age of 18. And no, I'm not saying 26 is old or anything, like my whole life is gone, but I do feel behind, especially because I feel like I could be so much further than I already am. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. And if you ever feel like everybody else in the universe has life figured out except for you, then this episode is for you. So first I want to talk about why so many of us feel behind in life. I think the number one reason is because it's the system that we grew up in. The system that we were born into was kind of programmed to make us feel like we need to follow a certain pathway and kind of check all these boxes off of our list, and without even knowing what we really want to do in our life. As kids, though, we kind of were just allowed to exist. We were allowed to just play, do whatever we want, and it'd be okay. We didn't need to prove our worth to anyone, prove our existence. We were allowed to just exist and just have fun and just be a kid. And then we got to school and we kind of were just on the same level as everybody else. We were pretty much told what to do and how to do it. And honestly, as a kid, when you first got to school, it didn't feel like a competition yet. And the system makes us go to school to learn all the same things as everybody else, and it kind of puts us into a box. Like as a kid, we were so free, we kind of got to pursue all of the creative ideas we had, all the fun activities we wanted to do. We were just free to do that and just be a kid and just exist. And then when you get to school, it kind of starts from there because the system doesn't necessarily work for everybody in the same way. And it kind of puts us into this box where we all kind of have to act the same way, follow the same rules, and just kind of follow the same path, which is just unrealistic for every single person in the world. This isn't as big of an issue when you're younger, when you're in preschool or elementary school, because you still get to be a kid. Like your grades don't really matter at that age. You get to just more so be a kid and have fun, and you're learning how to be a part of that system. That's really what those years are for. It doesn't really hit you though until high school. High school, I would say, is the part where the competition starts setting in and comparing yourself, and the pressure just begins. It's because in high school, it's when they start preparing you for the real world and going off to school and kind of what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I just remember being like a young 14, 15-year-old taking that careers class that they made us take in high school and being like, really? I have to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life at this age? I remember at that age, I think the careers I thought I was going to do was like a crime scene investigator and also a marine biologist. And looking back, that is so funny because I didn't pursue anything in science or of that nature. So the fact that those were like the top things I wanted to do at that age, it's just so funny because it just shows you that we don't really know what we want to do. We just think of jobs that look fun in like movies or things that people told us about, but not actually what our interests are, if you know what I mean. At that young age, they start telling us that we need to decide what the rest of our future is going to look like. And then all of a sudden, all of your hobbies and the sports and anything you're remotely interested in becomes something to build your resume and to look good on paper. Everything stops being for fun and to just enjoy life and just to exist. It becomes a way to start building the rest of your life instead of just building the person that you are. It becomes a competition. And then when you start seeing all these other people, your classmates, your friends, just achieving all these great accomplishments in high school, as young as that age, it really sets in that your childhood is coming to an end and now you are being prepared for the real world. And it's no longer about enjoying your life and existing and just growing into the person that you are. It's about becoming a part of the system and how you're going to contribute to society. So I definitely say high school is when it starts to begin for a lot of people, this sense of doom and feeling behind in life. But it really kicks in right after you graduate high school because you're officially technically an adult. Even though 18, I considered you're still a kid. Like, I don't know, if you ever look at an 18-year-old nowadays, it's like, oh my God, they're a baby. And your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed until 25, which is why I feel like so many of us don't even really know who we are or step into who we are until that age. So for us to figure out the rest of our lives after high school and graduating and becoming an adult at 18 is kind of crazy to me. Once you graduate high school, everyone splits into different directions. You got people going off to their dream school. You got people taking a gap year and traveling the world, or maybe they even travel for a few years and they're just traveling the world and it looks amazing. Then you have people who are these entrepreneurs and they're starting their own business and they're already so successful. You have people just going straight to the workforce and they have these full-time jobs already. And you got people that don't know what they want to do with their life and they're just kind of chilling for a bit after graduating high school. You see all these people going so many different directions. Everybody's going everywhere. Some people look like they're doing life better than you. Some people look like they're doing worse. You know, everything becomes a comparison game. So this is when it really kicks in because At this point, you're like, okay, now I have a little bit more freedom to choose what I want to do with my life, but the pressure is still kicking in because you feel the pressure to go to school or to get a full-time job or to travel the world while you're still young. And it starts feeling like a race to have the best future. But I will say the biggest point in my life where I felt behind was after graduating university, which is crazy because you would think after completing 4 years of post secondary school and the achievement of getting a degree, you would feel a little more ahead in life. But no, that's definitely not true. Not for me in my case, anyways. After university, this is when the real adult life kind of kicks in. You see people getting these fancy big jobs after completing school. You see people buying houses at our age, people getting married, and then even people having kids. And that's when it really set in for me. We're all living such different lives. For some reason, I just felt so behind in my life because I wasn't doing what that person was doing or achieving this or doing this. Some people might have looked at my life and what I posted. They might think that I have it all together. They might think that I'm living my dream life and they might think I'm more ahead. So it's funny because we're all kind of comparing ourselves to other people when in reality, we all feel a little bit lost and we all feel behind. It doesn't help that social media kind of shoves in all of our faces what everybody is doing with their lives. I mean, back 20, 30 years ago, we weren't so aware of what everybody else was doing with their lives. I mean, sure, you'd hear about the people in your close circle or who lived in the same city as you if you were still living there, but you wouldn't know what so many different people were doing all the time. So social media plays a big part of that because we're all kind of posting our big achievements on there, our highlight reels, and just what everybody is doing with their future. So obviously we're going to compare ourselves to that and feel like we're falling behind. But let me just tell you that falling behind is an illusion. Everybody has a different starting point. Everybody's at different chapters in their life. We're all living in different seasons of life, and you can't compare your life to somebody else's when you're simply just in different chapters and you've experienced different things. You cannot compare your life to someone else who hasn't been through what you've been through and you haven't been through what they've been through. You don't know what it took for that person to get to where they are today. And some people don't even reach their goals until they're in their 40s or 50s and start their life at that age. So it is so important that you don't get caught up in comparing the chapter you're in right now to the chapter somebody else is in. A lot of us are just trying to get through another day and just survive, especially if you've gone through setbacks in your life or gone through traumatic experiences or anything in life that just kind of set you back. As soon as you started getting ahead or feeling like you were on the right path, all of a sudden something just knocks you back and you feel like you're starting all over again at square one. But I'm here to say that just surviving another day and waking up another day or having another birthday, surviving another year is all something to be proud of. And that is an achievement in itself. And a lot of people don't see it that way, but I do. It's also realizing that not everybody has the same starting point. And some people just get a head start in life. Some people have more financial support in their life. They might have a more supportive family. They might not have the same mental health issues that you have. You have no idea what opportunities people have had in their life to get them to where they are, or what setbacks they've had to keep them where they are. And that's not your fault. So stop comparing your starting point to somebody's years of hard work and support that they've had. You are not in the same game at all. You guys are not on the same path at all. They've had completely different circumstances than you have and opportunities, and that is not your fault. And I think we all know this saying, but comparison is truly the thief of joy. Anytime you compare yourself or your life or your looks or your job, anything you have or anything about who you are to somebody else whose life looks completely different than yours, you are comparing your life to somebody else's highlight reel, and it's not real. And social media just manipulates everybody's perception on what our lives look like or what they're supposed to look like. And I'll be the first to tell you right now, I completely am guilty of making my life look like a highlight reel on social media. I feel like in the past year or so, I've been more honest and transparent with people that follow me, just kind of being honest about the things I'm going through or the setbacks I've had or anything like that. I've been more honest about it because a lot of people are going through it, and a lot of people are comparing their life to others. And if people are comparing their life to mine, that kind of makes me feel icky because it's like, I don't want people to feel jealous or envious of a life that does not exist. That's simply it. I don't want people to feel envious or feel like they're behind in life because of things that I'm posting or doing. And because it's simply not true. It's just not true. And I want to be honest about the good and the bad in my life. And I think we all should start doing that more. But I also understand if people want to be more private with their life and not kind of be so open with everybody about what their life looks like and what they're doing. I once was living a life that looked probably good on paper to a lot of people. I was working at a really well-known place in my city and I had a good job, I had benefits, I finally had my own apartment, was going to the gym all the time. I had a life that probably would look good to other people. But I wasn't happy. I was literally wishing for a different life because I was just not happy. I felt claustrophobic. I felt stuck. I just knew this wasn't for me, that life. I would sit there and I would wish for a different life. I would wish for more time and freedom to pursue my creative passions. I think I underestimated how hard that really is to kind of just start all over. And when you feel stuck and claustrophobic and not where you want to be in your life, sometimes the universe will force you out of it if you don't make those changes yourself. And leaving the life that looks good on paper to so many people might have everybody going around you. What are you doing with your life? Why are you going backwards instead of going forward with a life that looks good? You were doing so well before. Why are you ruining all of that? Why are you sabotaging it? A lot of us drop everything, especially if it looks good on paper. If you have a house, if you have a job, if you have a marriage, whatever it is, and it looks good to the outside world, but you're not actually happy, that's okay to leave. It's okay to leave and it's okay to start over. We need to reframe this and look at it as like what's doing best for you and your life and your future, what aligns with you and what makes you feel good, not what looks good to everybody else, what looks good on paper. That does not matter because the only one that has to live your life and enjoy your life is you. But I think a lot of us, we've honestly lost the plot of what life is supposed to be about. And I think it goes back to being a kid when we were okay with just existing and trying new things and not needing to be the best at everything and make everything into something that you can sell, something that you can monetize, because that's what life is about. It's not about checking all the boxes off your list and looking good on paper. After I graduated university, I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I graduated, now what? That was such a big achievement, but already I was on to the next thing in my life. I didn't even sit in that achievement and feel proud of myself because I saw everybody else around me moving on with their future and I still felt stuck. I definitely realized this though when I graduated because I remember everybody asking me what I was going to do now. Like, what was I going to do with the rest of my life? I was still working my same summer factory job right after school, and I had people asking me, like, so are you going to find a job in your field? What's next? Are you going to figure things out? And since then, I've realized there is nothing to figure out. Life isn't about figuring it out or reaching a destination. You're just simply meant to exist and do things that you want to do. That's all it is. It's not a checklist. You don't check all these boxes. But we all think that we need to go to school, get the good job, find the person you want to marry, have 3 kids, find a perfect white picket fence house, all of these things. And we have to do it in that order too. But no, everybody has different life paths and different life circumstances that makes them go on to their own unique paths, and we all need to realize that. We've also confused all of these milestones with our worth and who we are as a person. For example, I've noticed this especially with people making marriage or getting married one of their greatest achievements in life. We need to stop placing so much importance on these days or these milestones. A lot of these people that have achieved all of these things on these checklists of like the dream person, the dream wedding, all of the kids, the dream house. A lot of successful people that are successful on paper are actually unhappy and they're looking for more outside of themselves and their life. They're never truly happy because they're always looking for the next best thing. And they're never truly happy with what they have or what they already have achieved and just sitting in that. They're always chasing the next thing. To me, what happiness actually looks like is appreciating the little moments, appreciating that you've woken up for another day and survived another day. And that's why you'll hear people say, like, happiness is just a bunch of small little moments that make into this overall feeling of being happy with your life because you're present and you're appreciating all of the small things and you feel aligned and you have freedom being present with the people in your life and everything that you already have in your life instead of wanting more and needing more all the time, needing to move on to the future or living in the past because that doesn't make you happy. And that's why also a lot of people say doing a daily gratitude journal or just writing things you're grateful for every single day does wonders for your mental health and kind of getting you out of depression. It just makes you appreciate all the good in your life and looking at your life as a glass half full instead of half empty. So I hope after listening to all of these points that you realize you're not as behind as you think you are, or you're not behind at all, and you're in your own unique chapter of life and just chasing your own path that works for you in your life. And just remember, you're always allowed to change your mind no matter what path you're on. You don't need to be so attached to a certain life path that you thought you had to go on. And if you realize it wasn't actually for you, that's okay. Do you know how many times I've been on pathways where I'm like, this is what I've literally dreamed for and I hate it? So many times. And I've changed my mind so many times over the past few years. And that's why I feel like I've had so many different jobs and I've never felt aligned with them. And it's because I know I'm meant for a different pathway. I'm meant for more. I'm meant to do something else. And that's okay. And I knew it deep in my bones. And you might know that as well. But you're allowed to change your mind and you're allowed to start over. You're allowed to go backwards if that's what that looks like instead of moving forwards. Just realize that everything unfolds the way that it's supposed to. And if you aren't going to make those changes that you know you need to make in your heart, then the universe will do that for you. It will take you out of the life that you're so comfortable in, but unhappy in, and it will force you to kind of change pathways. Like that's what happened to me these past few months. And even though I feel like I've gone backwards and my life kind of fell apart a bit, it is what needed to happen for me in my life. It's what needed to happen for the future that I actually want and the life that I actually truly want to live. Because the life that I was living that looked good on paper, that life was not for me and I couldn't do that anymore. And we also have so many more options nowadays. Like you do not need to stay stuck in a life that you feel like you're forced to live. So just keep following your intuition and follow the life path that you want to follow. And if you don't know what that looks like yet, then just go with the flow. Just survive another day. Just get through another day and the answers will come to you. Life will unfold naturally how it's supposed to for you once you keep taking steps in the right direction that you actually feel aligned with. So if you are feeling behind, I hope that this episode just helped reframe or helped you change your outlook a little bit on life and what it's supposed to look like, because it's definitely helped me. Because I don't know, I've just been feeling so down lately and just a little bit lost, even though I know what I want to do with my life. It's just harder to get there than I thought it would be. And to a lot of other people, it looks like I'm going backwards or I'm not doing the things that I should be doing. And I had everything figured out before, but I will figure it out on my own terms. And everybody, I think, needs that reminder sometimes because we're all a little too hard on ourselves some days, especially when life doesn't work out the way that you thought it would or the way that you want it to. Sometimes life and the universe has something better in store for you. So just hold on and just stay true to yourself and good things will follow and good things will happen. Thank you so much for listening for another episode today. I can't wait for you to listen to next week's episode. And on Wednesdays, we don't give a care.